Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for best practices for migrating to Salesforce Marketing Cloud with Fresh Address and Devs United. We are going to give everyone a couple minutes to join, so we'll start here in a couple of minutes. Go ahead and get started. Again, thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for best practices with migrating to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. This is going to be a 30-minute webinar, and this is Zoe from Devs United, and we'll have Keith from Fresh Address join us as well. Here we go. So yeah, we'll have Keith Reinhardt. He's the marketing manager at Fresh Address. My name's Zoe Salish. I'm the business development manager at Devs United. And we'll have Pacho Sapir, who is a co-founder and now the VP of Devs United and now the VP CRM and marketing automation for Devs. All right, Keith, want to let us know a little bit about who Fresh Address is?
Absolutely, thanks, Zoe. So Fresh Address is an email database services company that helps some of the world's biggest companies and nonprofits clean, protect, and grow their email lists. We're based in Newton, Massachusetts, and we were founded back in 1999. Thanks.
All right, and a little bit about Devs United. We are a gold Salesforce Marketing Cloud consulting partner. We have done over 25 marketing automation experts. We sit and are headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio, and then we have offices in Argentina and Chile as well. We've done over 80 marketing automation implementations to date, and we boast a 5 out of 5 customer satisfaction rating. We also are a part of Marcus Thomas, which is a full service advertising agency. We got acquired in the beginning of 2019, so just something to note. Before we get into the agenda, just a couple housekeeping items. So we are recording this, and we will go ahead and send that to everyone that's attended and that signed up when this is done. So look for that in the next day or two. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to type those into the chat box, and we will get to questions at the end. All right, so for today's agenda, so we are going to do a brief introduction to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. I will then go over best practices and considerations when migrating into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And lastly, we're going to talk specifically about how to run a data hygiene process between Fresh Address and Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And we'll also do a live demo of that. And then finally, we're hoping to leave about 5 to 10 minutes for Q&A. So again, please don't hesitate to write those questions into the question box, and we will get to those at the end.
Great, thank you, Zoe. So let's talk about a brief introduction to Salesforce Marketing Cloud before we we go into a demo, and before we go into the tips for migrating to Marketing Cloud. I want to set the stage a little bit and talk a little bit about the capabilities of Marketing Cloud. So we live in the age of intelligent marketing, where marketers are faced with new challenges. Organization and technology are in silos, data management, and real-time consumer journeys. These are three major challenges that hinder marketers from delivering the experiences consumers expect from brands if they are to win business and their loyalty. There's a study from Salesforce that says that 75% of consumers expect companies to provide a consistent experience wherever they're engaging with. But a connected and consistent consumer experience requires companies to break down technical silos, organizational silos, and even rethink some of the job roles from being traditionally channel-based to be more aligned the consumer journey. Companies are also facing that privacy paradox where they're caught between using data to provide better and more personalized experiences and managing data responsibly so not to violate consumer rights and trust. And finally, if brands want consumers to be a lifetime consumer, they need to be part of a real-time journey. They need to be part of that they're already living. So how do you overcome those challenges? To do this, we really need to be able to really know your customer through all the type of data that you have available to them. Use all that data to personalize every interaction and then engage across all touch points across the journey. And that's where a platform like Salesforce Marketing Cloud comes in. Salesforce Marketing Cloud is considered the #1 marketing automation platform for doing this, right? Knowing, personalizing, and engaging consumers. Salesforce Marketing Cloud is part of a bigger Salesforce ecosystem that includes CRM, customer service, communities, among other products. And it has different components within Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So you have Journey Builder, which is a way that you orchestrate all the channels. And you can coordinate with these channels to go beyond even marketing and integrate with sales and service and commerce. Then Interaction Studio is more real-time capturing of signals across any device and visualize a consumer lifecycle and take an action in real time, sort of like an X software action. And then DMP and Data Studio, where you can capture and manage all the online data. So this is first, second, and third-party data from any source and device. Reconcile the identity and segment. And then finally, we have the specific studios, which allow you to manage a specific channel like advertising for social networks, social studio, Pardot, which is more like a B2B, series of within marketing. And then we have obviously email and mobile. In this particular session, we want to focus on migrating to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. We're going to narrow down our scope a little bit and focus on email marketing, which is still a critical communication channel, for most brands. If you attended our previous webinar, I believe, last month, we covered a series of best practices when migrating to a new email marketing platform. And the first one was ensuring the structure of your data, which means mapping the different data sources and how they relate with your customer. What's my source of truth? How is my data organized? What's my master data source of record? Onboarding subscribers. Number 2 is onboarding subscribers into the new platform, which covers how we need to start gradually sending emails to our new subscribers so we can build and maintain our sender reputation. And number 3 was ensuring the integrity of your data. And this is where Fresh Address platform can help you, not only to make sure the email addresses we're importing are safe to send, but also that we're continuing to monitor the new subscribers as they come in. These 3 items don't really change because you migrate to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. These are best practices that you should follow. But there are special considerations that we learned throughout years of implementing this solution that we thought could be beneficial to you, whether you're about to begin the journey of migrating to this platform or you are considering utilizing this platform. So let's talk about this. The first one is define your business unit and brand structure. So depending on the type of license you choose, Marketing Cloud assets, users, and data can be organized in separate sub-accounts called business units. Business units are useful, for example, if you work with multiple countries that are managed by multiple teams, or if you work with multiple brands, right? So defining your business unit structure is important when you are beginning to set up your account before you even migrate data. In addition to this, you need to decide how email subscribers are going to interact with these business units. For example, if you are going to be able to unsubscribe from one business unit but not from the others, or if by unsubscribing from one business unit will cause unsubscribing from everything. How you segment data on each business unit is also important. Imagine that you don't want to be fatiguing your subscribers because you're sending emails to the same person from 3 different brands. So it's very important to define this business unit structure and brand structure when you are about to set up your Marketing Cloud account. The second one is define your subscriber key. What is a subscriber key? A subscriber key is a text field that contains a value that can uniquely identify a subscriber in your Marketing Cloud account. By default, your subscriber key or unique identifier is email address. Let's say, for example, that you have a CRM where email addresses can be the same for different records. I don't know, for example, if you have a household where they share the email address, but they have a unique ID, that's different because they are different members of that household. The subscriber key feature gives you the ability to identify subscriber by a value that you choose, which is not email address, it's something else. So you can have the same email address for multiple records. Otherwise, your unique identifier by default is email address when it comes to email marketing, right? So if your unique identifier is email address, that's okay, no problem. But if you need to use a different identifier to ID those subscribers, you really need to make sure that your mind is set. You plan this out. Let's say, for example, that you're in the middle of the implementation, you've been doing some email sends, and say that you decide to change the data field that you're going to use for subscriber key, which you can. You can totally do that. But then you will have to go through a very thorough process, which we've done in the past, right? But importing all your subscribers, unsubscribing and deleting the old contacts, and creating some sort of mapping between your old subscriber key and the new subscriber key, so you don't lose any of the historical tracking data. So it's a process that is convoluted because you change it in the middle of things. So you have to reconcile all the tracking data that you had for the old subscriber key, map it to the new one, so you can get accurate data back. So believe me when I tell you that defining how you're going to uniquely identify your subscribers and what your subscriber key will be is a critical process when migrating into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Let's talk about the third one. It's called design and implement I call it a data loop. So usually if you are migrating to Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you have different scenarios that you can face. You are either migrating from another email marketing platform, and both of them need to run in parallel for a bit, maybe because your contract hasn't expired, you have to have the two of them running for a little bit. You are using a separate platform to maintain the single source of truth, so you need to know if something changes in your marketing platform. So for example, if I change my email address, I need to let the data warehouse know that happened. You need to collect tracking data from Marketing Cloud, so you can give it to, say, a business intelligence tool, like a reporting tool that is not Marketing Cloud, it's something else. So you need to export that data. So you can face these scenarios, these three, or all of them at once, right? All these can happen to you. If that's the case, you need to think about what your feedback loop is going to be, meaning that the data you collect in Salesforce Marketing Cloud needs to be exported to the outside for consumption. And in some cases that you need to import data into Marketing Cloud So you can update information about subscribers before sending emails. Luckily, Salesforce Marketing Cloud has a great tool called Automation Studio that allows you to import, transform, and export data in the platform very easily. And the last one, which is going to take us to a demo, the reality is that we could really spend a lot of hours discussing best practices. These are not all. We can discuss best practices and tips to migrate to Salesforce Marketing Cloud for a long time. We wanted to pick some of the most important ones when you start to migrate to a platform. And if you have any questions about the tool and anything, you can reach out to us and we can talk even further. But the last one I wanted to share has to do with our partner Freshadress and the critical process of importing data into Salesforce Marketing Cloud, because this platform and importing data are very related. As you know, it's very important to make sure email addresses that you're importing are free from syntax errors and they're not spam traps, and then 100% safe to send. And as you onboard new subscriber, you also want to keep doing the validation. So we're going to wrap up today's session with a quick demo of how Freshadress and Marketing Cloud can talk to each other. But before I dive into a demo, I'd like for Keith to tell us just a little bit more how Freshadress works and why is it important.
Thanks, Pato. Yes, let's just take a quick look at why email data hygiene is such an essential part of the data migration process. And I think the number one point here to get across is that a marketing cloud migration it's a serious project, right? You don't want to invest your time and your money into a new platform and then wind up with more problems than you had when you started. You want this migration to move your business forward. And one thing that can really cause a roadblock is bad email addresses. And there are a bunch of different types, and they especially exist in some of your older files and the data you collect from new sources. I know especially in this day and age, people are trying new things, trying to offset the lack of in-person events, and that also opens up the door to some dangerous stuff that can cause problems for you. And these bad email addresses, they're going to cause you to spend money unnecessarily with your ESP. They're going to mess up your metrics. They can result in some pretty serious deliverability issues, and some of the nastier stuff like spam traps can sink your whole entire email program for a period of time. So these are all bad things that you don't want, and you just want to make sure that you're cleaning out some of this bad stuff before you bring it over into Marketing Cloud, and that you have a way to discern the good from the bad once you're up and running and you're collecting and auditing all the new stuff that comes in. We can move on to the next slide. And this is where Freshadress enters the equation. We have the most robust email hygiene solution available, and it's integrated with Salesforce Marketing Cloud. As Pato mentioned a moment ago, he'll show you how that works in a minute. We have a 3-step process. It's check, correct, protect. And the first step is kind of a server check. Just make sure that the email address is valid, the server can accept mail. The correct part is our patented spell check technology. So we're going to correct a bunch of inadvertent errors and typos in your file. This goes for the stuff that's existing in your database and any new data that you collect in real time or via batch. So this is very important, especially when you're looking at customer email addresses. We see our customers value an email address, customer email addresses, from anywhere from $1 to $500, depending on the industry. So if we can correct some of those, provide a suggestion, and now you can connect and send a welcome email or a discount or product information that your customers rely on you for and expect from you, that's a big deal. The third step of the process is protect. This gets into identifying and flagging the toxic stuff that I talked about before, the spam traps and the other stuff that can really cause some serious issues for you. So that's our 3-step process. And the benefits of using this, in addition to not hitting spam traps and being blocked and blacklisted, you're only going to be bringing clean and problem-free data into your new platform, which is huge as you're executing your migration. You're going to gain more guaranteed, safe, and deliverable email addresses that can help push your business forward, Like I said, you're going to avoid the blacking and blocklisting problems, and you're going to maximize your deliverability, your open rates, response rates, and revenues.
Great, thank you, Keith. So let's go into the demo here. So I'm gonna show you real quick. So the first thing we do is we're gonna log into our fresh address portal. And one of the first things that we're going to see is that we're going to see our lookups, right? So a lookup is either like a row in a file that we import or an API call, because we can validate things with an API. So every time you do an API call to validate an address or you run a file, it will count towards your lookups. The cool thing that I really like about this is that you can add lookups with your credit card. So you don't have to like reach out to somebody. It's a very self-service, account. So once you have your account set up, you can use it, and add lookups as you go. And it will alert you if you're running low on lookups somewhere. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll have a homepage that will show us our jobs, what things we're validating, things that maybe in process or finished. And then we have our like past jobs that we can see as well at the bottom, right? But let's go into sending data. So you have different ways of sending data. Sending data, the way it works is that, let's talk through a manual process. So when we go into send data, we're gonna choose our account. And then basically the instructions are pretty clear. All you need is a tab delimited file, and the file must have 2 columns, a unique identifier for the row and an email address. It has to be tab delimited with the header row. So we have an example here of what the file looks like, right? I have a few email addresses here. Some of them are somewhat valid, some of them are invalid, and whatnot. All you do is you click on select file, you choose your file, you click on send my file, and that's it. It will be ready. Obviously, in this case, it's showing duplicate because I already processed it. It tries to let me know that there is a file with the same name. But if I go to processes, then when I go back to my home page, this will go into the queue, to be processed. After the file is finished processing, I can see it here on my dashboard, or I will also get an email that looks like this. And I can actually look at the report in HTML format, or you can look at here in their dashboard after your job is finished. You can go into your project and you can do 2 things. You can download your results file, and you can also view a summary of a results. So the results file, this is what you're actually going to import into Marketing Cloud, your results file, and you can filter your results files once you import into Marketing Cloud. So let me show you how the results file looks like. It looks exactly very similar to the one you imported, except that it adds a few extra columns. The finding, if it's a warning or an exclusion, because you shouldn't send it. A comment, for example, this info@devscenario.com is a role account, so you shouldn't really email to that person. A comment code, and sometimes if it's a syntax that fresh address can fix, it will suggest the correct email. But if you want to know more details, this is a very small file for this testing, right? Imagine you having thousands of records, tens of thousands of records, it will be kind of tricky to see. But if you want to see a summary of your results, you can actually access your report, which you can access here. And you can see it will tell you a little more, what a summary of the findings, what are the different common codes that you have, warnings versus errors, what do they mean, if it's a W versus an error. And then it's a very thorough and complete explanation of what each of the statuses mean. So the first time you're running fresh address, you're gonna need to read this thoroughly because you need to get familiarized with the different statuses. But really the 2 main statuses that you want to import into Marketing Cloud is here, like the V, which is a valid email address, but you should message cautiously because it's not 100% guaranteed that saves to send, or VS, which is 100% guarantee that that address is safe to send. So if your result files has a V or a VS, you can send it. So what you will typically do is you will run this file for the first time, get the results, and import the results that are only V or VS to Salesforce Marketing Cloud. If you already have people in your Salesforce Marketing Cloud account, you might want to unsubscribe the ones that are not V or VS. The second way of doing this process is through an FTP. So you can request fresh address to grant you access to their FTP account, and you will have two folders, input and output. In the input folder, you put the exact same file, and after the file ends up processing, you'll see it in the output folder. So with Automation Studio, you can create an automation that when the file gets dropped in the output folder, it gets picked up and imported into Marketing Cloud. So it will be a way to automating this process. The third way of sending data to Marketing Cloud is through connecting Marketing Cloud to Fresh Address. So Fresh Address has a connector, you put your API credentials, and basically what you do is that once you connect your account, you can actually click here on this icon, and it will list all the lists and data extensions in your account. And then I will choose that extension, and then it will actually be the same process. Basically, it will allow me to run this file with data, and then I can get the results back, and then I will have to import the results back into Marketing Cloud. I think the most automated way to do this, if you are running this currently, will be the FTP way that I mentioned, but there are many ways to do it. Now let's talk a little bit about real time. So if you want to do real-time validation, you can get the API from an API URL from the settings, as you can see here. So you can go to settings, service, and you get your own real-time API. And now you want to secure this URL, but you can send to this URL any email addresses, and you will get a result back in a JSON format. So let's look at an example. Say, for example, that this is our fictional online store football shop. I want to put a pop-up or a page to sign up for emails. So I can do, this is hosted in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So I basically type an invalid email address, I click sign up, and it will show an error because I'm in real time validating against that API. Now I printed here the response that we get from that API, so you can see. So you have the finding, the comment code, and whatnot. And then if I put a valid email address, I can actually show a thank you message. So very simple. You can actually, after validating in real time, you can put in that extension. Now, I will be careful because every time you do a submit, it counts towards your lookups. So maybe you want to consider other type of validations beforehand, like syntax, with a jQuery or a JavaScript validation. But this is a really good way to do it, and you can do this, programmatically, as you know. So this is this was our demo. If you want to try a little bit how Fresh Address works, or even try the accuracy of Fresh Address, you can go to freelistcheck.com, and you can actually import, I think it's up to 5 million rows in a file, and it will give you, it wouldn't give you all the details that get in the platform, but it will give you a really good high-level summary of your warnings, your valids and invalids. So you can get a sense actually before engaging with Fresh Address if you actually have an issue. So this is a really good way to try to understand, if you're gonna have to go through the process or not. So you can go, sign up and you can get this going. So with that, I think so. I want to say thank you everyone for joining. I think so we have a couple minutes just for a few questions from anyone in the audience.
Yep, thanks, Pato. That was great. So yeah, we do have a couple of questions. All right. So the first one, and I think it's for you, Keith. How long does it usually take to process a file with email addresses?
So most results are returned within 24 hours. If there's a larger file, we're talking in the 5, 10, 20 million record range, that can take a few more business days. But results are super fast. Also with the real-time API, that's milliseconds. So very, very quick turnaround.
Okay, awesome. Next, doesn't Salesforce Marketing Cloud have an API to validate email addresses? So maybe you both can help out with that one.
Yeah, there is an API available. I mean, it's somewhat documented, but there's not much out there about like what checks are being done in the backend. How accurate it is. And I don't know, maybe Keith, you can talk a little more about all the checks that you guys are doing. That are a little more than what that API does.
Yeah, absolutely. So my understanding with most ESPs is that they're doing a basic SMTP check, right? So they're kind of knocking on the server, seeing if anyone's home. That has that's only so accurate. That's a kind of like 1 out of 50 checks in our process. So I liken it in a way to car maintenance. So it would kind of be like, from my perspective, somebody. The way that they maintain their car is they drive it through the car wash and it looks really nice on the outside, but they didn't check the oil, they haven't tuned up the engine, they haven't done any of that other necessary maintenance. So when the car might look really good, but it might not drive for too long. So I kind of look at it like that. It's kind of more, super high level, superficial, and we can really drill down at a much deeper level and remove, again, some of that really bad and nasty stuff that's going to mess up your email program, where most ESPs aren't equipped with that at this point in time.
Okay, great. And I know we're over a couple minutes. We just have one more question. So what do you do with the invalid email addresses in Salesforce Marketing Cloud? Pato, how about you take that one?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, you can do different things. If you already have those subscribers, you may want to just unsubscribe them, if are invalids. Depending on how you have the contact model set up, you might need to delete some of those contacts. So, your Marketing Cloud bill goes a little lower. And then another thing is just creating a suppression rule. So you're actually suppressing those people from sends in case, they want to subscribe again or something happens. So there are different things that you can actually do with those invalid email addresses.
All right, so that's the last question. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Like I said, we will go ahead and send out this recording for you to have afterwards, just for reference. And if you have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself for anything on the Salesforce Marketing Cloud realm, or if it's specific to Freshdesk, feel free to reach out to Keith. So thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.